Well, I mean, there are consequences if all the information's not gathered, and that consequence is, findings of unsubstantiated because there's not enough evidence. So you probably hear, I don't particularly like it, but you hear a lot of the he said, she said, so it's two people. I get that mostly it's him and her, but it's where you've got two stories and that's, in theory, all you've got. So the consequence of that is that it's an unsubstantiated finding because there's not enough evidence to sway one way or the other as to which story is more believable. And bearing in mind in a civil or workplace environment, it's balance of probabilities, not beyond reasonable doubt. So it's really sort of what information tips the balance. And so that one of the consequences there of not getting that information out in the interview is that there's no further avenues of inquiry to follow up on. So it might not be rock solid evidence, but it might be other pieces of information that you can follow as an investigator that helps bring up corroborative evidence to what the complainant's saying, or credibility evidence that helps work out who's more credible based on the information they give. So then the consequence of that is that if the behaviour did occur and the investigation wasn't conducted in a trauma-informed way, then the person responsible for the behaviour is still in the workplace or doesn't have the opportunity for further training or, those sorts of consequences. The other consequence potentially that's coming is litigation. So, where a person is subjected or with the new legislation coming in, experiences a hostile working environment. And if this, with civil provisions coming in, there might be litigation from a cost perspective in the civil courts, but also re-traumatisation of the victim or people involved, not just the victim. So where that trauma-informed approach isn't applied, and the well-being and understanding of the person through the investigation process isn't applied, then you have that potential re-traumatisation consequence. And, there's a book that's got a bit of attention recently, witnessed by Louise Milligan, who, now that's about the criminal justice system and the experience of victims through that process. But there are some similarities in the workplace environment because the process is very similar in the sense that, witnesses are interviewed, and a report is done and findings are made. And sometimes if there's a dismissal and an unfair dismissal, then the Fair Work Commission hear it. So there's some similar principles, and the person who's experienced that conduct in the workplace may suffer that re-traumatisation. Similarly, if the respondent isn't treated with some sort of respect in the same manner, then they suffer stress and traumatisation as a result of the investigation process.